Hi everybody, and welcome back to String of Pearls. In this episode, we get back to work on the boat, making sure that our frames are nice and solid. But before we do that, we've got to take all the planks off and label them and get some work done to them. And then we get to work on putting in all of our new frames and making sure the boat is nice and safe and sound. We get some help from some good friends, and the weather is good, and we'll be back on the water soon. Thanks for all the support and encouragement, and thanks for watching.
Played the game when their hearts fitting all their plans and did my part.
It's kind of the rain coming in. We're trying to figure out these planks. We've got the boat back here at the dock at St. Simon's, thank goodness, and we've got it turned around so that usually we're in bow first, but to do this work on this side we're stern first. So we'll get a good view of that. James did a good job. We'll continue to clean that up and get ready to varnish it here pretty soon. We've just been sitting down here for like an hour just looking at these planks and determining what we've got to do to be able to fit those in. I've got to talk with Paul more about that and see, and then we've got to sand all that stuff here. I don't know what this, something hit that. I will say it looks to me like something hit that. Look at this old paint. Look, that old dead fly behind there. All this paint's got to come off. Now we'll get all that off of there. It'll look great once we get it done, you guys. All right, so, and I'll give you some more updates as we take this wood back off. I think we've got to plane it, and then it's going to go back on. And hopefully we can get that done here pretty soon. That's all from the boat for today. Thursday, and I'm down on String of Pearls. It is freezing cold again today, and the wind is howling. You know, it's just we cannot catch a break, you guys. Here's some of these things that we've been working on. This is the inside of the boat where we've got those windows out. We'll come back in and put those windows in soon and get that done. This is there's the galley, and up forward there you can see there's the hats. That's where some of that interior work was done along the keel that Paul and James did. And there's some back aft that way too. We're not gonna go down there and look at all that kind of stuff. What we're doing right now is measuring the lengths of each of those boards that we put in, each of the planks that we put in. We haven't finished putting them in, but we're getting those measurements up for the Coast Guard today and writing down each one of those. So that's what we're doing right now. All right. Yep. All right. So board T1,
4 foot 5 inches.
Okay. We'll do the next one.
T2, we got 7 foot 7 inches.
All right. All right, and measure the thickness. Of course, they'll be less when we plane them down, but
1.5 inch.
now, so this is what I'm wrestling with too. So that buddy of mine has a planer. And I could take these boards over there, or I could go buy a planer and we could do them here. Well, I don't know exactly what to do. It's over at his little counter shop where he's making the mast. See, all that water's going right through there, look.
Oh yeah.
That's right where we were. That's in that head, I think. That's all got to be just epoxy. We just got to epoxy the shit out of all this stuff. And you hate to say it, that's what we've got to do. And bring this. I mean, I hate to where it's like we need to unscrew this completely, move it out of the way, epoxy it, and then kind of waller it back out a little bit. I don't know. We got to talk about that. That's a wrap from down here today. It's miserable. 46 degrees and the wind blowing hard. You can be from wherever you want to be, Wisconsin, all those places up there. It's cold, especially for a southern boy. Okay, we'll pick it up tomorrow, where I think James and I are going to try to start making those boards fit a little bit better. I'll talk to y'all then. It's a little warmer today, but not all that much warmer. Nice and sunny. I think I've got a plan or know how I'm going to do these planks. I've never really set planks before, so this is kind of new to me. What we have, the problem that we have right now is that they're setting out a little bit proud, I think is the word they use. And so we just need to do some shaping on the little frames behind them. So that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to take all the planks out, label them, stack them up, and then start with the bottom and get those dried in a little bit better, and then get the tops and get those dried in a little bit better. We'll work on that for the next couple of days, and then we'll be able to get them epoxied in next week when it's supposed to be warmer. All right, I'm down here at the boat, and I can begin to start showing you what I'm talking about a little bit. So as these boards are in, especially at the top, it's proud. And that's a lot. That's like 1/4 to 1/2 inch. And I don't necessarily want to shave that much off the board. We need to get the little frame back behind there, I think, filed down a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull all these boards off and label them. We have a history of not labeling things right, but now I've got James over here. James is good at keeping that kind of stuff organized, so James will help us keep that part organized. But we're going to label them right, and then stack them up, and then we're going to start with the bottom row. We're going to get the bottom row in and get them all dried in, and then start working on the top. And then once they're all dried in and look really good, then we'll epoxy them in. So that'll take a few days. I gotta quit saying so on these videos. Every time I say so, James, you need to send me an electric shock or something. But that's the plan, and that's how we're gonna do it. So we're gonna get started right now.
A few moments later.
Boy, this is like a big jigsaw puzzle for us. I know you good woodworkers know how to do all this stuff, but it's for us, with Paul being with his family, this is really a challenge for us. We don't know exactly how to do it. But here is what we have decided to do. We've got 1 1/4 inches of existing space that we have to make up, and 1 1/2 inch boards. And so we're gonna go plane them down over at Matt Ullman's, the guy that's making my mast. We're gonna plane these down about 1/4 inch, and that ought to help us greatly with the fitment, if that makes any sense. So that's what we're up to now. We're loading all these up, and we're gonna take them over to Matt's shop and run them. He, when he gets a chance, is going to run them through his planer. He's got a planer. I was thinking about going and buying a planer, but I don't want to fool with a planer. And so that's what I'm up to now, is going over there. So and then also I'm going to rip some more sister frames. I'm going to put some more sister frames in there. Okay, that's all I got for now. We just dropped off the planks over here at Matt's shop. Look, And here he's giving me an update. These are the wings that go on top of the mast. And, I think they're called spreaders, aren't they, Clint? I think they're spreaders. And look, he's got our new ones cut out. Isn't that amazing? Way to go, Matt. Good job. All right, so those look great. And then we're gonna ask him some other advice about some other stuff. But that's good to see that that's all coming together. That's pretty exciting. See you later. Well, it's Saturday morning, and I'm headed over to Matt's shop, Matt's Carpentry Cabinet Shop, to rip this wood. We're gonna rip this wood so I can install these frames, and that'll be good to do. And so I'm gonna run down, I'm gonna get this wood ripped and then run down to the boat and make it all happen. So I'll catch up with y'all in a minute. He's planing down these boards. He's got one more pass. It's loud as hell, but that's pretty neat how this thing does it. We're taking it down where it ought to be pretty easy to fit these boards now. Just watch, know what they're doing work. It's got a bow in it or something. Springs, huh? Guys, I can't say enough about that Matt just did for me. So I had been really dreading how I was going to do that. I was even thinking about buying one of those planers. I just didn't know how I was going to do all that stuff. And I'm not around a saw enough to feel really competent in ripping that long a piece of wood. So I'm going to be okay in a minute. I'm going to use this radial arm saw that we have to cut them to length. But what he just did for me just really saved me. And what's funny is that for him, it's just effortless. I mean, he just whap, 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 knocked it out. So I'm really grateful to him for doing that. Matt Ullman's Cabinets. He's an awesome builder. And if you need some custom cabinets or some really fine woodwork, you should look him up on St. Simon's Island and use him. And also, like I said, he's a great pool player too, and he likes good music, so we have a lot of common interests. I think he's a good guy, and I'm really grateful to him for helping me on that. All right, headed to the boat. I've had a chance to really look around and get a pretty good idea of how I'm going to do all this. I'm going to start back here at the back of the boat, and I'm going to create a little bit more structure to fasten to, and I'm going to do that by putting in some new sister frames to go along with what we've already done. And then I'm going to come behind and I'm going to put some butt blocks in. So I'm going to give us a good bit of wood behind to to tie into. I think that's the best way to do this little project here. Let's give ourselves plenty of structure to tie into. And I think that's the right way to do it. And so I'm going to get started kind of working on these frames and getting ready to go back in here with these planks when it's time. So that's what I'm doing right now. Here's all my wood. Time to get measuring and get sawing. In here all day. Let me turn that off before I get a copyright strike. This is Allison Krause in Union Station. It's good tune. I've been down here all day at it. Frustrated as I am with this whole project, I've actually really enjoyed this, working by myself today. It's been pretty nice. I have come in and I wanted to add a little extra wood along here just so that we have plenty to grip to with our planks. And so I've come back in here and added, I don't know, 10 more frames and kind of pieces of wood, and just giving us stuff back behind there to grip to as we're putting these planks on. It's hard to explain. It doesn't provide structural strength like a like the timbers in a carvel style boat does, but what it does do is gives us something to hold to, because when we put our planks in, we're going to edge set them with epoxy, and it gives them something to bite to, something to cling to while we do that, a good surface. And we'll also epoxy the boards to these the planks to these little frames, so everything gets epoxied. And there was some older epoxy on here earlier, and as you chip it away to make room, what's interesting is it actually pulls the wood away, so that epoxy forms a bond that's tighter, that's stronger than wood. So it's great for an application like this. Really a miracle kind of stuff. All right, well, that's probably, I may talk to you a little bit before I head to the house, but I feel pretty good about today. It's very slow working by yourself. You have to get up and get everything. Nobody can fetch anything for you, but I haven't minded it. Yeah, I love this old boat. This old boat is special to me, and when it's, you know, in jeopardy a little bit like it is right now, you know, it just makes me all that more motivated to do everything I can to save it. And because it is a great old boat. But anyway, I'm here kind of fiddling and putting in wood, and that's what I'm up to. It's Saturday afternoon. It's a beautiful day. Very nice. The weather's been nice today. No complaints about the weather today. See, I can be nice. This is what we got done today. So I went in and put more sister frames in. I feel pretty good about that work today. Well, it's been a beautiful day here at the dock. I'm wore out, but we made progress. I feel good about it. All right, see you tomorrow. Take a minute and talk about what we're doing. Some of you guys have had questions about what we're actually doing on this little project. This boat is a monocoque construction. That means the strength of the boat comes from the planks because they're all epoxied together. We don't really need these frames, they're redundant, but what they are useful for is to fasten the planks to while the epoxy is curing. It kind of helps it keeps its shape, and they do add a little bit of rigidity to the boat. But over time, remember this boat was built in 1957, these old frames, some of them have wasted away, and so there's nothing, I mean, there's no strength there. Now the Coast Guard has a publication out that's called a NIVIC, And in that Nittick, what it says is you don't have to pull this wood out of the boat, and you can do what's called a sister frame. And this is a sister frame, and that it goes alongside of each side of it and basically restores the original strength that was there by this old frame, even though, remember, this is not structural. So what I have done, and what Paul and James have done all the way down the boat, and what I am doing right now the remainder of the way, since we ran out of time in Valona, is I'm coming in and putting, like right here, I'm about to put another frame, and I'm going to come down to about right here with that frame. So I'm going to measure that, and then come down. This is in where we are in relation to the boat. The owner's stateroom is here, and this is the owner's head right here. The master head is right here, like I'm looking at the potty right here. So I'm going to come down on this wall about to right there, and we'll put a couple of screws in here and a couple of screws in, and then eventually come back and epoxy it all. And that's what we're about. I'm going to do one here. I'm going to do one here. I'm going to do a one here, and probably here, depending on how far down I can get on this. And so we'll do these for is what was going, but that's technically what we're doing. And then the planks will come back over here. We'll dry fit all those, do the bottom ones first, and epoxy those in, and then come in back with the top row. And once we get kind of moving on this, it doesn't take very long. So that's what we're doing on these frames. We are going to have to plane that down a little bit. So yeah, what I need, so I'm going to have to plane these down, but this was because these are 1.5, and what I needed was 1.25. That's what I was trying to explain to the guy. So this does create a little bit of extra work, that all this is going to be planed down, but that new tool that I bought will help with that. Sister frame in, we're going to come right here. We clamp it in place first. And then I want to get as much, this is probably not the right way to do it. None of this stuff is probably right. All you pro woodworkers, leave a comment down below and tell me how bad I'm doing this. But what I like to do here is come in and make an upcut, which just puts a little upward tension on this before I drill it in and screw it in. And yes, I know that this is not the right wood. I know that, but again, these are redundant frames. They're not really necessary. These screws are about $2 a piece. Ask me how I know. Of countersinking these, I've got a little countersink bit that I probably need to use, but right now we're just doing it this way. We'll come in and just take this down the hair in the mahogany and then grab one of these bronze screws, and it sucks right in there pretty good. And then we come back and plug that so that you'll never be able to see it's there. And that's how that works. It's Super Bowl Sunday. That's a wrap. We've been down here working, getting it done as much as we can. It's cooled off a lot. But we've got some more frames in, and I feel like made some progress. So we're gonna get started. The weather's gonna be great this week. We're gonna get started tomorrow and finish up the frames and start dry fitting the planks. I just dry fit one off camera a minute ago. Fits pretty good. Pretty excited. All right, talk to y'all soon. Well, who are we rooting for? Pats or the Seahawks? Seahawks. All right, he's going for the Seahawks over there. I don't know who I'm going for. I don't really care about NFL. All right, bye. It's Monday morning, day after the Super Bowl. I guess, I didn't watch it. I watched some of it. I guess Seattle won. I'm not a big pro football guy, but anyway. I'm headed to J.C. Strother's, where I'm going to buy some boards. I just ended up not really liking that wood that I was putting in yesterday. I don't think I'm going to take those out, but I do think I'm going to use cedar for the rest of these little sister frames. And then there's some other little stuff that I want to do as well with that wood. So anyway, I'm going to go buy about 4 of these 2x4x10s from J.C. Strother, and then I'm gonna go get my table saw, and then I'm gonna get my chop saw because I like both of those better. And then I'm gonna rip those. I'm gonna do it the way that Matt showed me how to do it, and so I'm gonna rip those boards down to 1 1/4 inch, and then I'll have all of that, everything that I'll need to get what I need done. And I'm gonna do that right now. I'm pulling into J.C. Strother as we speak. There's no place to park as usual. Maybe I can just ease on up in here or something. Okay, that's all. Okay, folks, back here at J.C. Strother, not a sponsor, but we've got this wood all loaded up. I think it'll be, I don't think it's going anywhere. We'll see. I don't have far to go. I just got to go grab my saw, and then I got to go take it to where I'm gonna cut them. I'm gonna get my chop saw too. So I got a couple of things to load up. It ought to be all right. Okay, talk to you in a second. J.C. Strother. This is where I met the stove up and sorry guy. Well, we're down here. It's Monday afternoon. We've been down here, James and I, gone through a whole box of those. I can't find my other box. It's a $250 box of screws that's missing. I don't think I've ever said that before. Hey, anybody know where there's a missing $250 box of screws? You ever said that before? I've never said that before. Anyway, I gotta go look for it. What we did today is, hang on, I'll turn you around real quick, hang on. What we did today was we decided that since we're doing these sister frames anyway, that what we're gonna do, all this is pretty solid up here. what we did was we took any wasted wood we could find. Oh, I'm not pointing you right. All we did was take any wasted wood that we could find and just went ahead and cut it out. And we're going to put brand new frames in there. They'll fit. And that's going to make installing these planks a lot easier. And then we'll map out where each one of the frames are. Like we're going to sister all those. We figured out how to do it right there. And that way, when we're going to screw those, one of the hard things they had about screwing those planks down before was there's nothing to screw to. So those little sister frames right there, that you can't, I mean, those frames that are there now, you can't really screw to them. There's nothing really there to screw to. So this method that we're going to do now will allow us to do that. We'll have that finished tomorrow morning. I've got all the wood and everything. I had to go cut all that wood today. So we'll get that done first thing in the get tomorrow, and then we'll get to dry fitting on these planks. So I may have the planks dry fit tomorrow, Tuesday, and then epoxied or starting to epoxy them on Wednesday. I'm also going to coat these boards in epoxy. That makes a huge giant mess, but it's the right thing to do. We just have to be slow and careful with it. All right, hang on. So that's the update from today. I did not film myself cutting all that wood. I want y'all to believe that I cut it. I didn't have any help down there cutting it. I did it all. So you can believe it or not, up to you. Trust me. Isn't that what they say? So that's all that I have for today. I will speak with you tomorrow. It's a nice day. Weather's nice. See you tomorrow.
Sun coming up on the marsh grass line, pelicans riding that old wind fine. I know these tides like I know my name. They pull me back even when I'm ashamed, because bills stack up like thunderheads, and I count my words before I count my bread. But the water don't judge, it just keeps rolling in like it's saying, boy, begin again.